This looks very nice.
Very balanced structure.
Yes.
You can actually hang on it if you like.
Who wants cardio?
Yes.
Huh? Yes.
Not before.
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Kathitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitaamritavarshini Bhagavati Ashtadashadhyayini Amba Tvamanusantatami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshini Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Sumvanti Divyai Savaihi Vedai Sangha Padakramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samaha Jnanavasthitatadgatena manasa Pashyanti yam yoginaha Yasyannam na vidussurasuraganah Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha. We have been seeing the nature of the Atma in the second chapter, a very, very important section. Okay, and so we saw the most cryptic verse, one of the most cryptic verses, that about the nature of Sat and Mithya, knowing which there is nothing more to know. And if that is the case, why does the Bhagavad Gita continue? This is a question we have to ask. Why does the Bhagavad Gita continue, having explained the verse which, knowing which nothing more remains to be known? Why does it continue? Because I am imagining this, that Lord Krishna looked at Arjuna and saw non-comprehension or say more. Like Shvetaketu wanted the teaching how many times? 9 times. We've had more than 9 classes. But just to give a little perspective. Because the kinds of students we find in the Upanishads are what are called Uttama Adhikarinaha. Uttama Adhikaris means highly prepared. 9 classes enough, 1 class enough. And on the other end of the continuum are what are called Adhama Adhikarinaha. Adhama means not really understanding anything. That also is in the textbooks. Ideal types, both of those. Most people fall in the middle. What is the middle? Madhyama Adhikarinaha. So Madhyama Adhikaris. And then Madhyama Adhikaris means The sh of Shama is there, and the the of Dama is there, and the u of Uparati is there. The other things are while studying slowly being gained. Shra of Shraddha is there, and other things will slowly they are coming. While as one is studying, one is picking up the preparedness, and that's why we love Arjuna so much, because Arjuna clearly falls under this category. And so the Lord has to continue, because it's not enough to say what is Sat and what is Mithya. It has to be, teaching means there should be Abhyasa. Abhyasa means repetition. Otherwise, the Gita would have the fallacy of redundancy, which is not allowed actually in any work. It is called Punarukti Dosha. Punarukti Dosha is not allowed in the Upanishads, in the Veda. But for teaching it is allowed. The same point is made through different angles, because the ignorance is like a bull, Nandi, yeah, tamas. So when you try to make the bull move, it will just settle itself like this. Then you push it from this side, it will go like this. It will keep going like this, like this. It is very difficult to dislodge this bull in the form of tamas. So you have different angles and different ways of addressing the same issue. Different ways of addressing, and that repetition is like the water, the waves of the water that crash on the same rock again and again. And so you go and look at it, it's an angular rock full of sharp angles. Then 25 years later you look at it, it has become a Shiva Linga. It has lost all its angles. The personality is gone, only the Purusha remains. And that is what the verses of the Bhagavad Gita are right now doing to the personality of Arjuna, and by extension all of us who are listening to the Bhagavad Gita right now. Then we also saw that these bodies, antavantaha ime dehaha, but the sharirin, who is the sharirin? One who is in the sharira, indweller of the body, is free of these modifications. We have seen that. And then now this next section, from verses 19 to about 22, 19, 20, 21, 22, talk about the whole question of the Atma not being subject to death in any way, form, whatever. So these verses are important, because two of them have been taken verbatim from the Kathopanishad. How come there is no footnote? Because knowledge was like that. Now we have intellectual property rights, and you have to quote, and you have to cite, and you have to do this, do that, all these things. But knowledge comes from Bhagavan. Bhagavan is in the form of knowledge. And besides, you just, if you take from the Shruti, what are you going to say? Shruti itself has no author. It is Bhagavan. And then if everything you start attributing to Bhagavan, your writing will be full of footnotes, Bhagavan, same footnote. So therefore, the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Vyasa, and by interpolation, Bhagavan Krishna here borrows freely from the Kathopanishad. Why? To give the lay person, here Arjuna, and by extension everybody who is a student of the Bhagavad Gita now or later, to give the ashvasana, to give the confidence, to give the assurance. And what is the assurance? That whatever is being said in the Gita, even though it is technically speaking a smriti grantha. Smriti means it's called a human authorship. It is, even though it is called Gita Upanishad, it is still called human authorship. but to show that what it is saying here, what Lord Krishna is saying here, has already been said in the Kathopanishad. So the idea is not plagiarism, the idea is to show that the two are one and the same, that we can safely and confidently study the Bhagavad Gita knowing that it has the Upanishadic stamp. And so Lord Krishna quotes the Upanishads in interesting ways, and we will see that. Okay. So the first one comes here in the 19th verse. Let us chant. Ya enam veti hantaram.
Ya enam veti hantaram.
Nishchainam manyate hatam.
Yaschainam manyate hatam.
Ubhau tau na vijanitaha.
Ubhau tau na vijanitaha.
Nayam hanti na hanyate.
Nayam hanti na hanyate.
So, this in the Kathopanishad, slightly differently it is worded. Hanta chet manyate hantum, hataschet manyate hatam. And the second line is the same. Ubhau tauna vijanitaha, nayam hanti na hanyate. Almost same, verbatim, just taken from the Kathopanishad to give this backing, to give the Shruti backing, so that with regard to the Bhagavad Gita also, we have what is called Pramanya Buddhi. What is Pramanya Buddhi? Seeing the Bhagavad Gita as Pramana, as the only proof that is needed to know the Swarupa of the Atma as deathless, birthless, changeless, Sat, limitless Sat. That is the Pramana. Because there is no other proof. If you say, how come the Atma doesn't die? Give me proof. This is the proof. Shastra is the proof. And then Bhagavad Gita here, Lord Krishna quotes the Shastra because he is presented by Vyasa, presents Bhagavan Krishna as Bhagavan. Elsewhere it is what? Sanjaya Uvacha, Arjuna Uvacha, Dhritarashtra Uvacha, but Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, not Krishna Uvacha, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. So Lord Krishna is presented as Ishvara. And then the words Bhagavad Vachana, the words of the Lord, have to have what is called Ekavakyata. Ekavakyata means they should not contradict. The human beings can get away with saying, today I am going to do this. And then when upon being questioned, you said you were going to do this, how come you haven't done this? And then what? No, I changed my mind. Human being can say that. Or the human being can say, I never said that. I never said I was going to do this. No, but you did say there are witnesses. Oh, they have all heard wrong. I never said it at all. This is how one can say there can be contradiction. There can be contradiction in speech. There can be contradiction in thinking. That's why the mind is called Sankalpa Vikalpatmakam Manaha. There can be contradiction in thinking. There can be contradiction in action. And then there can also be an internal contradiction between thought, speech and action. You think one thing, you say something else, and you do something entirely different. But if Shruti is the Pramana, Bhagavan cannot get away with that. Bhagavan cannot say one thing in the Kathopanishad and something entirely different in the Bhagavad Gita. That which has the status of Pramana has to have no internal contradiction. Point number one. No internal contradiction should be there, in the sense that the Kathopanishads should not clash with the message of the Bhagavad Gita or with any other Upanishad. Kenopanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, nothing. It should not have internal contradiction. And number two, it should not contradict any other means of knowledge. Then only it is pramana. That is why Bhagavan Adi Shankara says, even if 1,000 Shrutis say that the nature of Agni is Shita, means cold, what should you do? Do not have so much Shraddha that you say, I am going to believe. Because it contradicts reason, it contradicts logic, it contradicts the observation and the experience of other pramanas, pratyaksha, etc. So therefore it cannot be entertained. So if it contradicts another pramana, it cannot be entertained. Even if 1,000 Shrutis come and say fire is cold, and you have been burnt and you know that the fire is not cold at all, then do not take the words of the Shruti. That means there should not be any internal contradiction, any external contradiction, and so to this end we find Bhagavan Krishna quoting the Kathopanishad, upon which, as I already told you, a lot of the verses of the Bhagavad Gita are based. So let us look at this verse, very beautiful. Yaha, Yaha means anyone who. Hantaram enam vetti enam atmanam. One who considers this atma to be hanta, antru, killer. Killer. Why all this morbid talk? Hello, we are in the battlefield. And besides the whole first chapter, Arjuna cried, talking about what? Death, 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 death. All time he was crying about death. And so, Bhagavan is quoting, all right, I can understand why Bhagavan is talking about death, because he wants to console Arjuna and tell that the nature of the Atma is deathless. But in Kathopanishad there is no war. There is just little Nachiketa sitting in front of Lord Yama. So why over there we have this? Yeah, one thing we can say, Yama himself is the Adhisthana Devata of death. But then we can also say that it is again a form of Prathama Malla Nyaya, the maxim of the village wrestler. Remember I told you 3-4 days back? Even if you want to say no, say yes. Just to please me. So, next one. Then next word, what else is there? Yaha enam atmanam hantaram vetti. The one who thinks. Vetti knows, but the one who considers, that's better. Okay? Vetti, here it's not certain knowledge, but that person thinks certainly the Atma is subject to death. So that person, whoever is being talked about here, says Atma is a killer, serial killer, belongs in jail. So this Atma is the killer. And Yahacha, now let's say another person says, Manyate Hatam, says this Atma is killed. Somebody killed this Atma. You can't say I am killed, that doesn't work. So somebody killed somebody, and so the Atma is killed. And then the next line says, Ubhau tau, these two, na vijanitah, they do not know what? Na ayam Atma, this Atma, na hanti, does not kill, na hatnyate, is not killed. Very in simple words, not very difficult to understand it word by word. A very beautiful message here. What dies is the body. Body dies, Atma continues. How do you say? What is the proof? This is the pramana. This is what is the operation of Shastra pramana in the form of words. So, the killing and the killer a metaphor. You take the most highness of crimes. This is why I said Prathama Malla Nyaya, the maxim of the champion wrestler. You take the most highness of crimes in order to negate something completely. And what is being negated is the double dose of agency, aka do worship, and then what will you call the other one? Done-inship. I am the doer. This feeling is very, very rampant. I am the doer. I am the doer. The more one says that, the more one is drowning in samsara. In fact, the best expression, if samsara has anything best in it, the best expression of samsara is to say, I am the doer. So that is one half of samsara. The other half of samsara is what? I am done in by you, by other people. In the first instance, one wrongly is identifying oneself as the agent of action. Agent of action. I am the doer. Karta aham. Aham karta iti yaha manyate. The one who thinks I am the doer. This is a recipe for samsara because doership is what? Guilt. Leads to guilt. Kimaham sadhuna karavam, kimaham papamakaram iti. Why did I do the wrong thing? Why did I do the right thing? Even in English you can have swaras. So, this is what it is. Why didn't I do the right thing? What is wrong with me? I knew better. I should not have done this. How can I make this mistake? It's okay, you made a mistake. It's fine. No, it's not fine. You're a human being. Yeah, but I don't want to be a human being. I want to be a perfect human being. I don't want to make mistakes. Mark Twain said, make sure you make many mistakes, but make new mistakes each time. Learn from the old ones. But somehow there is this feeling that as soon as I know what to do, I have to do it perfectly. So the doership gives rise to a terrible guilt. I cannot handle my own omissions and commissions. I am sick of my own omissions and my own commissions. This is what is called kartritvam. Kartritvam, doership. This is one half of samsara because the person pines all the time, crying, why didn't I do this, why did I do that, oh my God, I have caused a lot of this, I have done this, I have done that, because of me somebody is suffering, because of me somebody is sad, because of me something is happening. You see some more NASA pictures and YouTube videos of galaxies. Then you will see the earth itself disappears after some time. It's smaller than a pixel, okay? Pixel is nothing, it's even smaller than a pixel. And there on that earth, you have to locate your hometown. Or let's say you are in Rishikesh. First you have to locate India on that earth, which is less than a dot. Then you have to locate Uttarakhand. Then you have to locate Rishikesh. Then in that Rishikesh, Swami Dayananda ashram, and in that ashram your room, whatever your room number is, and in that room you are sitting and crying. Think about this. In the large scheme of things, this kartritva really is just falsified. It doesn't even matter. Because there's so much going on. And here one is a small blip in existence. But still the guilt is so much. The hurt is so much, the pain is so much, the sorrow is so much. This is called kartritvam, which is totally negated for Atma by the example of killer and being killed. Because if Atma cannot be a murderer, a homicidal maniac, then Atma cannot do anything else, even smaller, like some small omission, commission, theft, etc. is all negated. Theft is negated, fraud, defrauding somebody is negated, writing a bad check is negated, everything is negated. Because the main thing, killing is negated. That means all the other things that come under difficult doings are negated for I, Atma. Then, that is one half of samsara. Then the other half of samsara is not only there is hurt, guilt and hurt. What is hurt? I am deeply affected by other people's omissions, meaning non-doing, and commissions, meaning doings towards me. Oh, they forgot my birthday. They didn't wish me. How could they do this? I remembered their birthday and got them a present also. And they could not even telephone, they did not even wish, not even on WhatsApp the wish came. And then one is in the doldrums crying and one is feeling hurt. This is the example of hurt. So, other people's omissions. Omission here means forgot to wish birthday and commissions. Because the omission by itself is not that bad. They could say, okay, I really forgot. Commission. They wished my enemy. They remembered the birthday of my enemy and wished them. They did not wish me. That they wished somebody else. Commission. They did not wish me. Omission. Other people's omissions and commissions take a toll on me. I am affected not only by my own actions. My own actions cause guilt. Other people's actions or non-actions towards me cause hurt. Therefore, one is always guilty and the rest of the time one is hurty. And then in the world also Bhagavad has set it up such so that the guilty one marries the hurt one. And then what? The guilty one keeps apologizing and it's never enough for the hurt one. And so they live happily ever after. Okay? So this is the Atma is not involved in any action, in any omission, in any commission. A. And B. The Atma is not involved in any bhoktritva, receivership, experiencership. Some people translate it as enjoyership, but that's only for punya phala. That's not for most of the time. That's not for papa. So I would say, rather than enjoyership, we should say experiencership. Experiencer is not me. This is how we have to understand. And if we keep saying Atma, Atma, there will be some kind of a distance. The meaning of the word Atma is what? I am not a doer. I am not the receiver of other people's doings. Ayyo, where to go? Because if I keep saying I am not a doer, then what? I will never apologize. I can keep on doing. It's a license, like James Bond, they say, has a license to kill. And so this way the Atma also gets a license to kill. And any serial offender coming up in court date has come, and the fellow is dragged in front of the magistrate, in front of the judge. How do you plead? Not guilty, Your Honor. On what grounds you are not guilty? Many such defenses are given by way of insanity, okay, and or I was sleepwalking and I didn't know what I was doing. Okay, so many defenses you can give. But this fellow's defense is, I am not a killer. I am not by way of non-doership, Your Honor. The Bhagavad Gita says so. They will throw out his defense and throw him in jail or her. They will throw the person in jail and throw out the defense. Why? Because this is exactly the misuse of the Shruti. That's why the Kathopanishad says, Na amarito duscharitat, people who have not returned from a life of bad doings, adharmic doings, don't give them this knowledge of non-doership. It'll be a travesty. It will cause chaos. So this is for adhikaris only. The second problem with saying I am not a doer and nothing is happening to me is that one can be in denial, a kind of a dissociation. La la la, I am in my happy place, I am not doing anything and I am not doing. You can just be like that. Disconnected from yourself, disconnected from everybody else. That is not what the Lord intended, either in the Kathopanishad or in its sister text, the Bhagavad Gita. That is not what it is. It is not a question of some kind of a disconnect, which is what happens. Even in that, what is that called? Nirvana Shatkam. Mano buddhi ahankara chitta dina nacha shrotra jihve nacha ghrana netre nacha vyoma bhumihi na tejo na vayuhu, and people go away with that. With that, I am not this, I am not this, not this, not this. Then the last line is the most important line. What is the last line? Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. So this neti neti has to be done along with iti iti. If you just say neti neti, then two problems. One is there is a license to do whatever one wants on the grounds that I am a non-doer, or there is a disconnect. I am not doing anything. You can say that to yourself in a sing-song voice and live a life of kind of being dissociated. Why does one come to Vedanta? Because of this sense of intolerable dissociation. One comes to Vedanta because of loneliness, because of alienation, because of this pain of being disconnected from the world, from Ishvara, from oneself, from everything. And here the teaching itself says, okay, get disconnected. No. So therefore, it has to be taken, understood very, very properly. Atma, I am not, the doer is me, but I am not the doer. It's a selective negation. Doer is me. Doer is I. I am not the doer. Doer is me. Doer is Atma. Why? Because everything is Atma, thinker is Atma, hearer is Atma, doer is Atma, receiver is Atma, experience is Atma. And we'll see this in the 5th chapter. Pashyan, Shrinman, Swapan, Shwasan, Ashnan, Gachan, all these things, going, coming, goer is Atma, seer is Atma, drinker is Atma, sleeper is Atma, waker is Atma, dreamer is Atma. But Atma is not any one of them. These are statuses. See, the trich pratyaya. What is trich? ER. Yeah, trich, ER. The ER is called trich. In Sanskrit, it is called TR with a dot underneath it. ER becomes TR. Trich, tr, bhoktr, kartr. That is the ER. So, grammatically, we think that this is the suffix, and what is the substantive? Whatever that action is, that action becomes the substantive. Drink, that is the action. ER, the agent of drinking. And then sleeper, sleep, and then ER, the agent of the one who is sleeping, the agent of sleep. But actually in Vedanta it is doing a Shirshasana. It is doing a headstand, it is all ulta. The Shastra, the ER is what is constant. The ER is the substantive, and the other one keeps coming and going. Sleeper becomes waker, waker becomes eater, eater becomes drinker, drinker becomes walker, walker becomes something else. Eater again, because after walking got hungry. So, you see, we think of it grammatically that ER is added. The trinch is added to make this an agent noun. But that root verb which is there, that dhatu which is there, what is that? That is the main thing, and this is just that which makes it into an agent. But that agent itself is what? Atma. Eating, drinking, etc. keeps changing. That which is constant is Atma. So Atma is not drinker, not eater, not sleeper, not dreamer, not waker. That is a status as though imposed or projected upon the Atma, just like the snake is projected onto the rope. That is a projection. So as though projection, we can't even say projection is real, as though projection. And so here the Atma is totally free of all doership. Doer, is Atma. Atma is not the doer. So therefore, you don't have to get into some kind of a funny lingo after listening to this verse. I didn't do, somebody else did. Swamiji was illustrating a while back. There are certain parampara, there is a certain parampara of sadhus. Swamiji, when did you come? This came yesterday. When are you leaving? This is leaving by plane day after tomorrow. Did you eat your food? This is very hungry. We don't have to go there. There is a sublated karta. If you understand this, anybody can say, yes, I am here, yes, I am sitting, I am doing, I am eating, I am drinking, I am sleeping. And then in the mind, that sublation translates into what? As though. So therefore, one lives in the empirical reality, one sets foot in the empirical reality. At the same time, one knows one is at home in the Paramarthikam Sat. Next one. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे This also taken almost verbatim from Kathopanishad. न जायते म्रियते वा विकश्चित् नायं भूत्वा बभूव कश्चित्, like this. And the rest, the last two lines are the same. So let us look at the words and then we look at the verse. Na jayate is not born, and that na has to be carried over. Anuvritti has to take place for the na. Namriyate. Namriyate va is not born or does not die. Kadachit, at any time. Na ayam bhutva, having been this ayam, this atma, ayam atma, having been bhutva abhavita. That is one reading Adi Shankara gives. See, bhutva bhavita. That is one way to look at it. Bhutva abhavita does not cease to be. Vana bhuyaha, again. Again does not cease to be. So it is not born, it is not, it does not come to an end, and then it is not, it having come to a being in a certain form, Having come to being, it does not cease to be. Ajaha, unborn, Nityaha, eternal, here we can say, that which is unchanging and never coming to an end. Shashvataha, always the same. Ayam Puranaha. Puranaha means Puraha eva Navascha. Puranaha. Very beautiful Vyutpatti given by Adi Shankara. That Purana means what? How do you say it in Hindi? Purana. Purana means what? Old. But here, and that's why we say as old as the Puranas. Because we think the Puranas are very old. There is even a saying, oh, that story is as old as the Puranas. But here, a very ingenious derivation is given. Puraha eva, that which is ancient, and then ever new. Navaha cha. So the Pura you take from the Pura, and the Na you take from Nava, and make a new word. Purana. In Sanskrit, you can do such exciting and wonderful things. So, that which is ancient, because it was always there. But when I experience the Atma, how do I experience it? Now I am. And what about now? Now I am. Now I am. Now I am. That now is Atma. That now is the nature of the Atma. Swarupa Lakshana. Now is the nature of the Atma, and the nature of the Atma always is like now, 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 and you can't measure the length of now. How long is now? Timeless. And so ever fresh and timeless and ever ancient. There was never a time it wasn't. There is never a time it's not going to be. Even if the bodies die, bodies come back, Atma is the same. And then Ajaha, unborn, Ajaha, and then Nityaha Shashvata Purana. Nahanyate is not killed. Passive, Hanyate is not killed. Hanyamane Sharire, when the body is killed. When the body is subjected to death, Atma survives death. This again is a continuation of the previous one. Why? Because to give the status of Pramana to the Bhagavad Gita at the time when the Bhagavad Gita is giving its best teaching, best of its teaching, the most important kernels of the teaching it is giving. So it has to show that there is no contradiction. The same thing is said in the Kathopanishad. It is quoting the Kathopanishad. Najayate na mriyate. And then it doesn't die, it is not born, it is not subject to birth. Usually we are happy when something is born. We celebrate, distribute sweets. And then when something dies, we pull a long face, we cry. But that is again because of ajnanam. What kind of ajnanam? Atma ajnanam. The nature of the Atma not being known is taken differently. Anyatha jnanam, not just ajnanam. As I have said many times, ajnanam cannot cause problems. What causes problems is taking oneself to be what one is not. Which the dog and the cat do not do. The dog and the cat just have ajnana. That's why they are happier than most people. They are fine as long as they are fed, they are not abused, and they are taken care of, they are okay. They fend for themselves. And but then what? The human being is free enough to judge herself, himself. Free enough to judge. And that therefore, this judgment is called anyatha. Knowing oneself other than what one is. This is the mistake. This is the adhyasa. We have talked about earlier. This is the error. Erroneous conclusion about the self causes samsara, sorrow, fear, etc. And that is what is being removed by this verse, showing the nature of the Atma as free of birth and death and everything in between. And then it does not, it never is not, double negative. It never is not, it always is. And what is the nature? Here there is a mixture of neti neti and iti iti also. Ajaha, unborn, that's a negation. Okay? And then nityaha, shashvataha, puranaha. It is the positive lakshana of the Atma, the positive definition. That which is limitless, unchanging, ever new, and yet ancient. It has nothing to do with the body, because the body belongs to an order of reality called
Mithya.
Atma. Okay, take care. Good morning. Yeah, called Mithya. And then Atma belongs to an order of reality called Satya or Satyam. And so the two are as different as you and your shadow. If supposing you want to scare away a dog, the dog is coming behind you, you want to scare it away. So will you take a shadow of a stick and try to scare it away? No. There are two different orders of reality. What comes to an end and what keeps being born, what is subject to jayate, priyate. The two bookends of the Shatvikaraha are mentioned here. Two bookends. The beginning is denied, najayate, and then of course the priyate need not have been said, because if it is not jayate, then how can it die? But still, the two are denied. Na priyate. And that means the four vikaras in between are also negated for the Atma. Vedanta quiz. What are the four vikaras in between? Vardhate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, asti, forgot asti. Asti, vardhate, jate priyate, finished. That's already the answers are given. Okay? No cheating allowed. That's already said here. So, four missing ones I want. Fill in the blanks of the four missing ones. Asti, vardhate, viparinamate, apakshiyate. Vinashyati is priyate. Okay? So then, that finishes that. Next one. Veda vinashinam nityam.
Veda vinashinam nityam.
Yaenamajam avyayam.
Yaenamajam avyayam.
Katham sapurushah partha.
Katham sapurushah partha.
Ganghatayati hantikam.
Ghatayati hantikam.
Veda. Know this. Know what? Avinashinam. Atmanam Veda. Know this Atma to be what? Avinashinam. Not subject to destruction. Again, the theme of destruction is repeated because that is what one is the most scared of. Being decimated. And that I will cease to be. This is true of many religions. Many religions have this thing of no rebirth. No rebirth is there. And then, okay, going to heaven, it is not for sure. One can land up in the other place. What's the other place? One can land up in hell. What is the guarantee? That one will go to heaven. And so this is one shot you get at this life, and that fills the person with a lot of dread. That's why there is a lot of fear of death. This is only one shot. There is no other recourse. There is nothing happening. No other possibility is there. How am I going to do this? What is going to happen? And that is what fills one with dread. So therefore, the I is keeping on being repeatedly shown to us, unfolded to us by Lord Krishna as what? Avinashi. Avinashi, not subject to death, not subject to destruction of any kind. Because there are three ways of destruction we have seen. One is by itself, it can self-destruct, or it can something like it. Swajati can do that, or Vijati, something unlike it can come and destroy it. But for Atma, it cannot self-destruct because it is not put together, it does not have parts. And the Atma cannot be destroyed by something like it because there is nothing like it. And then Atma cannot be destroyed by something unlike it because that's the only thing, there is nothing like it, there is nothing opposed to it. And so it is Avinashi. Avinashi tad vidhi. Earlier also we had seen the same word. That's how this whole section began. In verse number 17, Avinashitu tad vidhi. So he is getting ready to conclude. So he repeats the same thing. Lord Krishna repeats the same thing. Veda Avinashinam. Avinashinam Veda Nityam Veda. Know this to be limitless, timeless, not bound by time. So the one who knows this, Yaha Veda, the one who knows this, as Avinashi, Nityam, Ajam and Avyayam. Out of that, three of them belong to the Neti category of unfolding the Atma, and then Nityam here is the positive definition. Veda, Yaha Veda, the one who knows. The one who is the knower of Atma in this, knower of Atma means the knower of oneself in this particular manner. What is the manner? This Atma is, I am not subject to destruction. I am timeless, limitless and unbound by time. And I am Aja and born. And I am Avyaya. Avyaya means unchanging, na vyeti, iti avyaya. In grammar, avyaya means words that do not decline. Yeah, do not decline. Okay, so katham, so saha purusha means yaha veda saha. So the one who knows, that person, katham, O Partha, he Partha, O Arjuna, katham sa ghatayati. Ghatayati means is a causal, causes one to die. Hantikam, kam ghatayati, katham ghatayati, kam ghatayati, hantikam. How can such a person kill or cause someone to be killed? Very interesting way of phrasing it, because the doership comes of two types. You can directly go do something, or one example is the puja. You give the spiritual power of attorney to the purohit, to the pujari, and to ask him to do the puja on your behalf, so that because you don't know the mantras, you don't know the vidhi, what comes first, what dravya has to put next, etc. You don't know. So you give the dakshina to the priest and you tell the priest to do the puja on your behalf. Who does the punya go to? That's a very diplomatic answer. Okay? Yeah. Who does the punya go to? To the priest? No, to you. Punya goes to you. Because even though you are not the direct doer, you are the indirect doer, because you went into a pact with the priest and said, please do this on my behalf. Correct? You had a contractual agreement, so to speak, with the priest and said, please do this on my behalf. I beg of you, please do it because I have no clue what I am doing and I want this puja done. And so then, Punya doesn't go to him and his family. Punya goes to you. Why? Because you are not Karta, but you are Karayitra. You are a Karayita. Karayita means you are the indirect doer. You are causing this puja to be done. You are the causal agent of this puja being done. Understand the difference? This is a positive example. I can give a not very nice example also of a mafia boss. Mafia boss just sits in one place. And then somebody comes and says, oh, did you get the money? No, please give me a little more time. I don't have the money. Mafia boss just makes a sign like that to his main henchman, hitman, whatever you want to call it. Hitman because he has no other job other than to hit people. That's what. So hitman makes this fellow disappear. Papa goes to whom? Mafia boss. Actually, it should be shared, but that's a different story. That's another discussion, not for now. So this is so Karta and Karayita. Both here are denied for the Atma. The one who knows the Atma as the one who knows the self, oneself as what? Free of doership, free of indirect doership as, for example, a puja, or for example, you ask like, you don't know the law, so you ask the lawyer to file some papers for you. All that. All those are examples of indirect doership, here called Karayita. So you can kill directly or you can cause somebody to kill. But here the Atma is free of both that. The person who knows this is free of all papa, all punya. There is a beautiful Upanishad called the Kaushitaki Upanishad. And in that, Indra, who is usually a student in the other Upanishads, here he is the teacher for a change. And then, so he goes to the gates of Indraloka and welcomes a very noble and dharmic king whose name is Pratardana. So Pratardana is welcomed not by Indradutas, not by the messengers, but by Indra himself, because he is such a wonderful person. And he has died, he goes straight to heaven, straight to the arms of Indra, and Indra welcomes him and he says, I'm so pleased with your adherence to Dharma, and you can ask anything you want. I want to give you a boon. Ask for whatever you want. And Pratardana is very, very, very clever, extremely clever. He could have asked for anything, but then he says, please give me what you would ask for if you were in my place. What would you ask for if you were in my place? This is a very nice example, nice way to do it. It's like going to some restaurant, you don't know the language, you don't know anything. You go to a French restaurant with somebody who speaks French, and you don't know what you're ordering, everything looks, French is a completely opposite language to Sanskrit. French, you only, use 1 inch of the top lip and maybe 1.5 inches of the bottom lip and just speak very delicately. And half the syllables are silent and the other half that are not silent are pronounced differently than how they look. Sanskrit is Sanskritam 100% phonetic. So anyhow, you don't know what you're ordering. So then, what do you say? I'll have what you are having. In the same way, Pratardana says, you please give me, if our positions were reversed, whatever you think is good, you give me. And so he starts teaching him this knowledge. And then, while teaching him this knowledge, he says, for a person of self-knowledge, for a jnani, even if he does matrahati, means the matricide, patricide. If such a person kills his or her own mother or own father, not even a hair of the head is disturbed. Meaning what? Not that they will be killers. We should take that. That is the same way in which this verse is told to us. We should take it that Gyanis have got the license to become killers. No. That means it's impossible for them to kill. But if they do kill somebody, that means they are doing it for Loka Sangraha. That is some reason, some other reason must be there. We have to understand. So in that same way, in which the teaching of the Kaushitaki Upanishad talks about, in the same vein here, the one who knows the Atma cannot kill or cannot cause somebody to die indirectly either. More we shall see tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Some prasada to 45 people, not 45, 45 people.